And we're back, everybody. Welcome to the Seven Figures or Bust podcast, episode 132, the number one podcast in the world for growing your insurance business. It's a Thursday. I'm pumped up. We got a freaking hell of a show for you guys today. I'm Christian Brindle. He's Glenn Shelton. Good morning, good sir. Good morning.
Good
morning.
You know, we got right into it yesterday. We didn't talk about the tsunami at all, but you being in a landlocked state, you're like probably like screw the coastal states, I guess. Is that kind of your mentality then? You're like, I don't have the ocean, so if you have the ocean, this is a risk that you guys get to take. I was considering when the news dropped, not yesterday now, but 2 days ago, I was like, maybe I should send my last rites to Christian and make sure he knows what to do when the wall of water comes and consumes me here on the coast.
Make sure the management team is making sure that our scripts have this, and this. Don't let them take this off.
No days off.
No days off. No holidays.
No more holidays.
No, I think it's interesting, right? Living in Utah, we really don't have natural disasters. That's a big reason why I moved out of Florida. Literally, like people are like, oh, you have earthquakes. I'm like, once every 20 years.
Yeah.
We've had one or maybe two earthquakes my entire life here. They just don't happen. We don't have tornado. We had a tornado in the 90s. And of course, we're not near any large bodies of water. Unless you include the Great Salt Lake, there's not going to be any hurricanes from the Great Salt Lake. We just don't really have natural disasters. I lived in Florida in 2017. We had Hurricane Irma. And I remember we evacuated, it ended up being kind of a nothing burger in the area that I was in. But we still evacuated. It was so annoying and so stressful. And I was like, I just remember telling my wife, I was like, screw this. Let's go back to Utah.
Back to the mountains.
Yeah, we just don't really have those same kind of problems here.
It's interesting because it's one of those things where especially as business owners, right? I think we always have all of these plans in place, where it's like this on this day and this on next week and that. And all of a sudden something like that happens. And and in my opinion, I think this tsunami was essentially a nothing burger, especially for the coastal. I think Hawaii did get a little bit, 6 feet maybe, but again, in the grand scheme of things, comparatively to the tsunami that hit Japan back in 2012 and the Thailand tsunami back in the early 2000s, those were massive, created tons of damage. So there's a layer to this of you can plan as much as possible, but there's going to be things that come up like this where you have no control. So that's part of it. The other part of it, of course, that I'm thinking about as this is all happening is this is the world this is our industry, right? This is the insurance world, right? Is trying to protect yourself against these unforeseen things that can happen in your future, right? Obviously, with a tsunami, you're looking at potential flooding, property damage. So, we're not talking this. I mean, I guess health, right? Your health could be jeopardized too, though, right? So I guess this really does come full circle too.
Certainly, absolutely. I mean, there's enough of those things. My attitude towards it is I don't want to live in a place that's frequent of natural disasters. And it seems like a lot of places, there's one thing or another, there's tornadoes every year. It's Tornado Valley over here. And I'm like, yeah, I've never seen a tornado in real life. I don't want to, and earthquake, right? We had an earthquake. Don't remember the year, probably in the last 5 years, 6 years, something like that. Happened pretty early in the morning. I slept through it. That's how much of an insignificant thing it was. I woke up and people were like, there was an earthquake. I was like, oh, I didn't experience said earthquake. I was asleep. I slept through the damn thing. you know? So like there's enough things that can happen in your life, like, you know,
Right.
health problems, you mentioned, industry things. I just had the attitude, I'm like, I don't want yet another thing that could pop up out of nowhere, that I have no control over in a lot of instances. And that's why I like living in Utah. No shots at anybody that lives in places
I
that
know that's what it feels like.
that's
I feel
not
like you
that's
just
not my intention.
alienate. People are dropping off their stream right now. Just
This is
wow,
not an
Christian hates
invitation.
us.
This is not an invitation to move here, by the way, for anybody that's listening. We have
You're
enough
selling
migrants coming here from other states, like
migrants, refugees.
California refugees.
Our quota for West Coast refugees is full, you guys. I'm
I'm
sorry. The
gonna
mountains
start
are
calling them that. I see the license plate. It's another refugee. Look, honey, there's a refugee.
Oh my gosh.
um, but yeah, I mean, Utah population wise has really exploded the last couple of years, and I think there's a lot of people that look at it that way. They're like, it's beautiful here, mountains, seasons, um, all of that stuff. But also like it's not to say we can't have natural disasters, but it's like historically we've been kind of a nothing burger.
Knock on wood. I mean, you got what? What's that? Isn't the super volcano right there? Like
Yellowstone.
yeah, Yellowstone, dude. That
Yeah.
blows. I mean, come on, you'll be ground zero for that natural disaster, dude.
So from since I was a kid, there's two big natural disasters
Yeah,
that adults would always be like, it's going to happen.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
coming. That was one. Super volcano. I remember like watching documentaries about it in school, and it's like, in the documentary, there's this guy with a funny accent, and he'd be like, what will happen with the super eruption is this. The super eruption is coming. And I'm like, here I am still waiting for the super eruption. Um, but
Sound
then
like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
the other one was that supposedly Utah is way overdue for a massive, like huge earthquake. So scientists have been predicting we're going to have a massive, huge earthquake. The ones that we have had have been not that, just really pretty small, pretty insignificant.
Yeah,
And, so since I was 5, I'm like, all right, massive earthquake. I'm like,
it's time.
I'm like getting under the desks and stuff, like preparing. Okay, what will I do when the massive earthquake happens? Here I am. I'm 32. No massive earthquake. It's like, so those are
I'm
the two big ones that have been crammed down my throat as a Utah resident since childhood.
so really fast. I'll share my because everyone probably has at least a couple of these. I'll share mine though, but so I'm on the west coast of Oregon, and what I've heard since I moved here almost 10 years ago is that everywhere from the I-5, the I-5 is a straight shot to the main highway from Mexico to Canada. So it cuts Oregon in half essentially.
Mhm.
Supposedly there's going to be some type of major earthquake or some sort of, cataclysmic event where everything west of the I-5 is going to fall into the ocean. And
Whoa.
there's a lot of people that believe this here in the state where like they live right on the other side of the 5, and I'm like, if half the state can just fall into the ocetion, I'm like, there's probably going to be bigger problems than, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll just strap me in. I'll take the front row seat. I'll just go straight into the ocean with half the state allegedly. I think it's got to be a fault line. There's got to be like a fault line. It's probably similar to the same sort of stuff you've been hearing since you were a kid.
Yeah, I'm sure. It might be even
Yeah,
the same earthquake. It would hit like
yeah.
multiple states or something like that.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like, earthquake wise, we've only had a few small ones. Again, the last one I slept through didn't even wake me up. We don't really have fires. I mean, we have fires. It's not to say we don't. We don't have like forest. We do have forest fires, but like nothing like California or some of
Yeah.
these other places. Like we'll have a fire and I won't hear about it for like 2 months. I'm like, oh, there was a fire up in the mountains. I'm like, who would have knew? Who would have known? I have no idea.
Maybe you're just uninformed, okay? Maybe
Yeah, that
you're
could be.
you're just a hermit. You're living in your cave and you're like, "What's going on outside?"
We don't
That's
really have
crazy.
we don't really have crime. I mean, we do for sure, but like that we don't. I mean, we don't really have hoods
Right.
or ghettos. I mean, we do. Salt Lake City is kind of there, you know,
Parts. Yeah, there's
parts of
bad
it.
parts. Every city has bad parts, right?
But like, there's no Salt Lake Compton, you know. Like,
Oh my god. I can't I can't believe it's the end of July already, you guys. August
yeah,
1st is tomorrow, which again, my AEP countdown clock is going off in the back of my head as
me
I'm
too.
seeing the dates and the days kind of scroll by here. So
I
we're officially 60 days.
like
60 days.
I'll share a little bit of something like my life has been so chaotic the past couple of
Yes,
weeks. So I just want to paint a picture of like what my day was like
please.
yesterday because
Yes.
you know with AEP approaching, there's a lot of things that I am working on, and my workload is at an all-time high right now. Like basically July through the end of September is my personal busiest months of the year personally usually. The actual AEP season is not as much busy for me as an individual because I don't sell anymore, right? It's busy
Right.
for people on our team. It's busy for our organization for sure, but like and it's not to say it's not busy, but like I would say these next couple of months are busier for me personally.
It's a different
Um
kind of busy for sure.
like so yeah, yesterday um I get up 6 a.m., I go to the gym, I do my workout, I take a shower, I immediately go to the office, we do the podcast, it's around 9 a.m. So 6 to 9, that's what I do. Then 9 to 5:30, basically, I'm working. I forgot to eat lunch until about like 2. So I finally ordered something on
Why am I
UberEats.com.
why am I so dizzy?
Yeah, yeah. And this happens regularly at the office.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
I'm like eating and I'm just going back and forth, back, like just a million things. I only got done maybe 25% of what I needed to get done yesterday. And so then I have family dinner, go to the family dinner. Then I'm like, oh, I didn't go to the hospital. I didn't see the baby. Go to the hospital. It's like by the time I get there, it's like 7:30.
Dang.
Spend about 40 minutes at the hospital. Go home. By the time I get home, it's like 8:45. Then I get on my laptop and I'm working, catching up on various things, a lot of AEP related things.
Yeah,
Um, things that I can't necessarily share, but a lot of AEP prep going on
a lot
right
of
now
prep.
for our agents. I'll just kind of spill the beans there. We have a virtual event coming up that I'm
Yes.
working on planning, an AEP kickoff. Will be happening in September. A lot of things in the works, marketing money agreements, co-op agreements, all of these things. So that goes to like midnight. And I still didn't get everything done. I got a lot farther, but I still didn't get everything done. And so like, I go to bed, I wake up this morning, I'm like zonked. Thankfully I took a shower, I feel better, but like, this time of there's so much going on right now.
Yeah.
And with AEP approaching, I'm like, there's a lot that's required of me right now. So it's a crazy time of year. It's really, really nutty.
I think when you're again, you kind of mentioned this, when you're an agent, this is still pretty slow. Like you get busy during AEP, right? That's when it's crazy. You're writing the applications. When you own an organization, the planning and prep work that leads into AEP. And again, same thing. I'm experiencing a lot of this too. Like at Lead Heroes, we're already having conversations about, you know, is it time to start scaling up the team, right? Like we're already talking to some of our Lead Heroes clients about AEP orders. Like those conversations have already started over the past week, even maybe 2 weeks ago. We started to have some of those conversations. So, you know, there the more prep work you do, though, the better. And again, even if you are an agent, right? Even if you are just an independent agent, the more prep work you do now, the easier your AEP will be, for sure. And I think that's why it's so crazy right now for us, is because we have so much prep work to do. And then once we get to AEP, it's more of executing on operations, and we have such a big team, so it helps us a ton. So it's kind of a different struggle than maybe what an independent agent is experiencing, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
That's
today
a crazy day, though.
today though will probably be exactly the same.
Yeah, same. Yeah,
Identical.
I have a crazy day planned as well.
So yeah, like that's kind of where we're at right now in this time of the year. It just throws a monkey wrench into it, having to go to the hospital every day as
Yeah,
well. But
it's a lot.
I'm trying to make sure I don't miss a day going to the hospital, everything like that whole situation. But like, there's been 1 or 2 days over the last couple of weeks where I did miss. I didn't go, and I felt horrible. I'm like, oh no, I'm such a horrible parent.
He won't. I'll give you a little hint. He won't know. Okay. He won't know that you missed a day. Okay, and I won't tell him.
You better not. I'm gonna hold you to that.
He's
NDA.
7 years old. I'm like, Cyrus, come here. I want to talk to you about
Your
when you were in
father.
the hospital. Your father neglected you many
He was
days.
preparing for AEP.
You know what AAP is? No, what's that?
Okay, so I wanted to shift gears into this main topic,
Yes.
right? Because I think
Yes.
it deserves
It's a big one.
a lot of time for us to
Yes.
kind of kick this around. For those of you that haven't read the topic, it's the topic in and of itself is truth revealed: how to know if you're being scammed by a virtual assistant company. Man, that's a freaking doozy of a topic. And before we get into that, though,
Dun, 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 dun.
dun dun dun.
Ba, ba,
We
ba.
we got to talk about this episode's sponsor.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
episode 132, you guys, is brought to you by none other than a real virtual assistant company, Hire Heroes. Hire Heroes, guys, we have a webinar coming up on August 6th that will go over how you can triple your production from years past this AEP with help from virtual assistants, scaling your time, coming in with a vetted, a lot of times multi-year experience and trained team member on our team. So it's not a random person, it's not a stranger. And somebody that already comes in with a pretty good baseline working knowledge of our industry, right? You don't have to teach them everything from scratch, although you definitely need to train them. But there's no service customized for our industry quite like Hire Heroes. And you want to make sure that you be on that webinar. So make sure that you register for it. We have a max capacity of how many people will be able to fit on said webinar. That's 500 people. We're actually getting close to, I want to say, about 50% registered. We believe it's going to completely max out. There's not going to be spots left. So make sure that you register for it while you can. That's August 6th. And I believe you can go to hireheroes.com and register for that. Am I correct?
You can. We'll make sure the link is in the stream below in the Facebook group. If you're listening to this on audio, head over to hireheroes.com, and you can also grab the registration link there right on the home page of the website.
Yes. So go head over to hireheroes.com. All right, let's shift gears. Okay, so this is a how to eat an elephant topic, I think. There's a lot of places I think we could begin. First off, where I thought a good place to start with this might be, right? So people read, are you being scammed by a virtual assistant company? First off, let's talk about the different types of virtual assistant companies that are out there and
There's
how
a
they're
lot.
different from one
Yeah.
another, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. And a lot of people take the easy route and, in my opinion, do it the wrong way, to where it's just not the same quality. They don't hold any responsibility. It's very much a handoff situation with the virtual assistant. And so, yeah, I think, that's one of those things that,
I'd say there's three main types. If I were to try to categorize this of working with a virtual assistant, there's like the do-it-yourself model. You're going to go out and find the virtual assistant yourself. You're going to go to basically like job listing websites. You could, I've heard of people hiring through Craigslist, Upwork. There's all sorts of different websites where you can essentially go, you post a listing for the person you're looking for, they can apply for your job, you interview them, and then you can hire them. So that's kind of the do-it-yourself model, which has some of its own risks associated with it, right? You don't really know this person. You're kind of going off of their resume, or maybe they might have a review that from another person they've worked with that you're going off like a reference. Then you have this headhunter model that has really been pretty popular in our space, in the insurance space, that we've seen several different entities and individuals offer. And essentially what they're doing is they're just kind of playing middleman, and they're saying, hey, pay me $500, pay me $1,000, and I will hand off a virtual assistant to you. We'll find someone, we'll hand them over to you, and then you work directly with them, and I'm completely removed from the situation. Again, it's a situation of, why work with them if they're not really supporting you or the virtual assistant, right? Like, what's the point of that setup fee? That's a lot of money that you're spending up front as an agent when you could
for
just,
virtually
yeah,
nothing.
right. No pun
Like,
intended. Virtually nothing.
virtually. Haha.
Virtually.
Virtual nothing,
Virtually.
incorporated. But no, yeah, I think it's so interesting, right? Because I don't think people really understand. So on the outside looking in, right? The third thing is our model, right? To where we take
Right. Managed service. Yeah.
we take somebody who is employee that we know very well, that we know is exceptional, right? In the top tiers of our ranks and everything like that. And somebody can come in, and not only have we vetted them, but we also maintain um, making sure that quality control is there on an ongoing basis, right? If you have a problem with your person, you can reach out. We can work with them. If you have an issue where they need to be replaced, for whatever reason, we can switch them out for another person, right? It's like an ongoing relationship service. It's almost
Guaranteed.
here's the analogy I have for this. It's a Medicare client calling a call center and enrolling versus an independent agent that will take care of you forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the difference. That's
For
literally the
sure.
difference.
Yeah, that really is.
No
That's a
customer
great
service with
analogy.
the call
Yeah.
center, right? So, like,
Yeah.
anytime you're working with one of these headhunter services, it's no different than when your clients call the call center. It's the same
Yeah.
thing, because there's no ongoing service, right?
No relationship.
And so sometimes people will look at that and, like, they'll be like, because a lot of times they'll be paying the virtual assistant directly, right? So maybe they'll pay a little bit less per hour
Right.
than they
Right.
might pay for a managed service like ours, but they're they're getting literally a random person out of a hat, right? It's somebody that, if they steal your social security number and sell it on the black market, like, no one has any accountability.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's some
Yeah.
scary shit, in my opinion.
There's no company behind, right? That's the other thing, is like, with a managed service like Hire Heroes, like it is a LLC formed here in the United States. It's a United States based company. Like, there are people and entities that you can hold responsible if something were to go wrong. That's a whole nother layer to this enchilada that I don't think a lot of people think about. A lot of people are sucked into that, hourly cost, um, or they're just sucked into their upline telling them what to do. Right? We see that a lot. Well, my upline told me to sign up with this service. The part that drives me crazy with that headhunter model too is I've seen it where they pay 500, they pay $1,000 for a virtual assistant, and then 3 months go by, 4 months go by, that virtual assistant quits, or for whatever reason they stop working with that person, and then the headhunter will be like, yeah, we can find you another one for another 500 or $1,000,
Yeah.
pay me. It just seems it feels like they're not standing behind. I mean, again, that call center versus independent, it is a great analogy because it's like they're not standing behind their service, they're not standing behind their product, they're not going to take care of you if something goes wrong. There's no
Mhm.
guarantees. It's scary, and for whatever reason that's been pumped wide. We've seen a lot of that, so something to really consider. If you're really looking at these different options, take that into consideration. Don't you want that safety net, that guarantee? Don't you want to know someone is there to help you 24/7?
I
That's a big deal.
I think with a service like Hire Heroes too, there's a couple things. Like, number one, we have infrastructure built in in the form of, like, for example, our app, right? To where you can
Yeah.
monitor the work that your virtual assistant's doing, and take
Yeah.
screenshots of their screen and shows it to you. You can communicate with them that way. Like, there's infrastructure built in place to manage the situation, and the work that they're doing, that's provided for you. We built it internally, right? It's it's our software. And so, you know, you have the infrastructure. You don't have any infrastructure with these headhunter organizations. And then, we have insurance policies to protect in
Yes.
case something goes wrong. Like, when they
Cybersecurity.
when they take a person, they're literally all you're paying them to do is connect you with a random person overseas that they literally just found, right? It's not somebody that they have a lot of experience with, like at
Yeah.
Hire Heroes. Um, so it's they're going off and finding a random person they just found, and you're paying them to make the introduction, basically. But after that, you hold all responsibility of what might go on. There's no insurance policy, there's no infrastructure. Um, and like Glenn said, if it doesn't work out and you need to go back to the board and replace it with another person, it's another $500, another $1,000.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like in the metaphor. Someone doesn't like their XYZ insurance company policy that they got through the call center, so they call the call center again. Yeah, the call center will enroll you again. No problem. If you have a valid enrollment period, of course. Sometimes even if you don't, they'll do it. Um, but they'll enroll you again. So they'll
Yeah.
take your money again.
Right.
But
They sure will.
there's nothing on an ongoing basis of relationship aspect or a servicing aspect like you get with a true company that has that infrastructure and long-term commitment to your success with that virtual assistant, like a Hire Hero service, right? So it's I made a comment recently where I'm like, I feel like these other services that are the headhunter services, I don't feel like they're really a competition to us. Like, I don't ever feel like we lose business to them. I really
Right.
don't. But I
Right.
do think there's some people that will go with them. And I've heard all kinds of horrible situations that have come out of it. And I know you have too, from
It's like a fast food restaurant trying to compare itself to a sit down restaurant.
yeah.
You're not looking at McDonald's. If you're Chili's, you're not looking at McDonald's thinking, oh man, I'm losing business to this other company. Even though there might be times, right, where someone chooses one or the other, but it's also just a completely different service, completely different product. The To focus on that scam part too, because one of the things, and I've obviously doing this for as long as I have, I've worked with thousands of virtual assistants at this point, guys, thousands. Interviewed, hired, fired, call center, admin. I mean, all sorts of tasks, you name it. I've seen it, I've done it, I've experienced it. I've gone to the Philippines multiple times. I do consider myself an expert in this
Mhm.
field.
As would I.
Yeah. The scam part though, so, and this is what makes it really important, regardless of what company you're working with, being able to see what they're actually working on, right? If you hire an employee in your office, you can stop by their desk anytime, right? Hey, what are you working on? What's going on? Oh, you're watching Netflix? Okay, we've got a problem. You know, obviously the seeing what's going on their computer doesn't necessarily mean you can see what their whole surroundings are, right? We don't have a camera in the room, but that's beside the point because I just need to know that the time that I'm spending paying this person, that the work is being done on the computer screen that they're on,
Yes.
right? That's the most important thing. They've got music on in the background or whatever, who cares, right? That doesn't matter to me. I just need to know that the job's being done and I can see it. Obviously, if it's a call center rep, the background noise would be a potential issue, but that's again
Yes.
beside the point here. So, I can't tell you how many times I've seen, people hire someone and then they're like, "Well, I think they're doing the job. I think they're working. I don't know. Like I got something done, but they said they worked 8 hours, and I don't know if they actually worked the full 8 hours." And we try to provide a level of transparency where there's no guesswork here. There's no, did this person actually work? Did they actually do the task? We try to provide the level of transparency where it's like, well, let's take a look. What were they doing on their computer? It's like,
Hmm.
okay, this is what our management team sees. This is what you can see, and this is what the virtual assistant is seeing. So it's like we're
Yes.
all on the same page, So we're trying to avoid that part of the scam, right? Trying to keep you guys from getting scammed.
100%. I mean, I know we worked a lot together even before our companies merged. And, even when we first started working together, it was so apparent to me what an expert you are on working with Filipinos and offshore, remote workers and virtual assistants and everything like that. Um, but since we merged, it's become, I've seen so much more under the hood. So, and to where I'm like, it's amazing to me the level of expertise that you have and you've developed over a decade on working with these types of individuals in this type of setting. And there's just nobody that compares. A lot of these people, and I feel like I've learned a lot. I'm still learning, but my knowledge doesn't compare to Glenn's on this. He is a true expert on this. A lot of these people that do these handoff services, like they hired a couple virtual assistants on their own maybe a couple years ago, and now they're prompting themselves as an expert. Like, it's not even close. I'm sorry, it's not even close. It's like this episode of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast is brought to you by my mini course, How to Find and Buy Books of Businesses. Guys, in 2024, Glenn and I, in our combined company, purchased and acquired through acquisition 900 clients. And over the years, we've purchased thousands of clients to grow our agency internally. And we've learned a thing or two over the years, right? There's certain things you need to look out for. You need to know how to value a book of business. You need to know how to transfer everything, what the expectations are in terms of the timeline. And you need to know how to put a deal together and structure it to protect yourself while still at the same time doing good business with people. Guys, this mini course is around 10 videos long. It's a quick and easy thing to get through. And it's a great way for you to grow your book of business in 2025. Whether you're finding an agent that is maybe been in the business for decades and they want to retire, and then maybe they don't have any kids to take over their business. Maybe you're looking at a situation with an agent that just hasn't been able to make it in the business and they're just looking to go off and try other things. Buying books of businesses can be a great way to quickly and rapidly grow your business fast. And we've unveiled all of the little tools and tricks that you need to know in this training. It's a one-time purchase for only $197. For that price, we're practically giving it away. Make sure to check it out now. Now back to the show.
And guys, there's a lot of people out there who are essentially just taking an affiliate cut. That you're not direct to the source, right?
They don't have their own source. Yeah.
You're dealing with a middle. Yeah, you're dealing with a middleman. So And that's something that's been, since the dawn of time, right? That's been a thing, is, dealing with the middleman when you could go direct to the source. And so again, that's what we're trying to provide, that direct to source. We have boots on the ground, we have infrastructure, we have the technology, we really have all the tools, the training, and try to really hand that over to you, so you don't have to worry about all that stuff. As we're talking about this, and I'm thinking about the amount of time it would take you to do all of this on your own, and I know some of you are so stubborn and you'll still want to do this yourself. And like, maybe that's just kind of the mindset of a independent agent, a business owner. You're like, I want to control it, I want to do it all myself. If I could go back in time, and if there was a service like what we have now that had everything all put together, I would have jumped on it in a heartbeat. But there really wasn't back in the day. There were, when I was first hired, there was nothing that I saw that was quite like what we've created. So, don't reinvent the wheel. That's such a waste of your time and energy, for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more in depth, right? So we talked about like the headhunter style companies, how it
Yeah.
compares to like the service-based company like Hire Heroes, that kind of thing. I want to talk a little bit about more in depth of people that do try to go off and do it all on their own, right? Like that third category, I guess, if you will. Like, what are some outside of just the unexperienced, right? What are some risks that come associated with that? Because I think they're vast.
Yes.
It's,
Yeah.
again, the analogy I would use is a Medicare beneficiary trying to do their Medicare all on their own by
Sure.
Googling.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you wouldn't advocate a client to do that. In fact, you'd be like, oh, that's probably going to end bad. You need an agent,
I
right?
have I have so many horror stories that I've either experienced myself firsthand, or through a peer, where I've seen it happen secondhand. One thing that was surprisingly common was, people subcontracting out the work, where and this was happening even on some like major websites where they offered some limited type protection, but again, you're still doing it all yourself. So to give you an example of this, I hired someone. This was actually something that happened to me personally before, a couple times actually, but hired someone, loved the person, thought they were a great fit, seemed like they had the resources, the tools, the knowledge to do what I wanted them to do. And then almost immediately something seemed off. I'm like, this doesn't. And then, checking some of their work, like listening to the recordings, what had happened is this was for a caller position. They basically, as soon as they got hired, they went and found someone else to do the job, and they subcontracted the work out, and they're paying that person less than what we're paying them to make a middle margin. And then that person that they subcontracted to was pretending to be them. And so again, now you have this daisy chain where you're not even working with the person that you hired. That's one example off the top of my head of a situation where you're trying to do it all yourself, and you're encountering something that, like, what do you even do at that point, right? I mean, obviously what we did, we immediately locked them out of everything, fired them, and had to move on. But how do you even know that you're working with the person that you hired, right? If
Yeah.
what a nightmare that type of scam could be. Here's another one. This is kind of in line with the, you ever gotten those emails where it's like, I am a prince in Africa.
Of course.
I need you to send me your routing number and your account number. And then once
Send
you
you
send,
$50 million.
yes, then I will be able to send my $50 million to your bank account. It all makes sense, doesn't it? Go ahead, send me an email. It's like, what?
Excuse
So,
me?
when you're completely on your own, and you're not, you have nobody, no third party to validate the people that you're working with. I had an individual once who, again, fell in love with them during the interview. the dude sounded like a radio DJ. I remember thinking, I was like, I'm about to hire the best caller I've ever hired. I remember at the time like bragging to people. I'm like, I just hired the best person I've ever. And right before they're getting started, they go, "Hey, my microphone just broke. I really need $80. Can you send me $80?" And at the time, again, relatively inexperienced, I was just like, okay. And I sent him $80. And then, he's like, okay, I need a couple days and then I can get started once I get the microphone. I'm like, okay. A couple days go by. Um, I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, you ready to get started? Did you get your microphone? Oh, you know what? I'm not quite ready yet. I'm actually having this issue now. And they actually tried to circle back again and ask me for more money before getting started. Obviously, once bitten, I'm like, no, like, nope, see ya, and fired them before they even got started. But another example of a type of scam you could run into,
Mm-hmm.
you're on your own. Like, people trying to get paid before they even get started, or, oh, can you advance me money on my paycheck, or blah blah blah, like this, that, or the other thing. I mean, it's dangerous out there, you guys, doing
What
it alone.
about what about being clocked in for you because you don't have the infrastructure, right, to know what they're doing, and they're really working a second job at the same time?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
that's something that seemed to be happening more and more, not necessarily with us, but like just you hear about that a lot
For sure.
with remote
Totally.
work and things like that. Um, those, I mean, again, right? You're doing this all on your own. You don't know what you're doing. You're just and it's going to be apparent to the person you're hiring too. Like somebody that is a bad actor, somebody that is, they're just thinking, how can I take advantage of this situation? They're going to spot it and they're going to be like, all right, this is great. This person has no idea what they're doing. And they're just going to take you for a ride sometimes. Sometimes they might have access to sensitive information, right? Um, that they just take and do various things with, right? So like there's so much risk. It's unbelievable to me.
There's a
Um,
lot of risk.
that
There's a
people
lot of
aren't
risk.
aren't more nervous about doing it on their own, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, but in a way, working with the headhunter companies, you really are kind of doing it on your own. The only thing they're doing is just instead of you putting a job listing out and interviewing people, they'll do that part, hand them over to you, not really knowing who they are, and say, "Have fun." It's the same thing. You're just paying $500 to $1,000 more.
Yeah, I guess you could make an argument, like, if you were to compare the headhunter model to completely doing it by yourself, maybe that money's saving you a little bit of time because you're not having to spend that time to try to find someone. But
Sure.
it's not, there's no value. That's the biggest struggle to it, is when there's like, they're just handing that person over and really washing their hands of the whole situation. I have yet to hear of one of these models where they talk about doing something like background checks, like we
Yeah.
do with everybody that we hire. There's these checkpoints along the way that you should be hitting to validate this person before you start working with them. And a lot of times none of that's being done. There's no guarantees, and it's just, hey, here you go. Here's a warm body. They haven't been trained. We don't know who they are. We haven't done a background check. It's just literally, it's like it's like a slot machine, really. It's just like,
Yeah.
let's see what you get. Let's see what you're gonna get. It's
Virtually
crazy.
nothing LLC.
Virtually nothing else. Spin it up. Give me the domain. Let's go.
I need if anybody is watching, Lester, Randy, any of you guys, I need an AI image of Virtually Nothing LLC. I need it. I want to post it in the group, everything like that.
The
Um,
the Sharknado from earlier this week was fantastic, by the way.
oh yeah,
The
Sharknado.
AI image we got of Sharknado for this coming AAP. If you guys heard that on the episode, we posted an image in the Seven Figure Medicare Facebook group of the actual Sharknado AAP that's coming, which was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you really break down the down to the bones of the situation about the different ways you can go about hiring a virtual assistant, my opinion is I think you're out of your mind not to go with an organization that really just handles everything and has the infrastructure built in and helps you maintain the quality with that employee long term. I just think it's so ridiculous and risky and short-sighted to try to take the shortcuts. And I think all of these other methods are just trying to take shortcuts, and that's where people get bitten by the shark in the Sharknado.
The shark and the shark. Yeah, you try to cut. It's very similar to buying cheap. You buy cheap thinking you're saving money, but then you have to buy something over and over again. You get a car, you get a used car that's really all you think, oh, I only paid $2,000 for this car. What a deal. And then it's a hunk of junk and it doesn't get you from A to B. And you have to either keep paying money to replace it, replace parts. You have to pay for a rental car, like all of the additional costs associated with trying to pay cheap up front. Just get something reliable from the beginning, get
It's
something that'll get you there.
Let's think about some analogies with this, right? Because there's a lot in life. Cars. You get a cheap car, it breaks down, right? How many times have you heard like older people, give
Hang
wisdom
on,
advice
hang
to
on,
the
hang
youth?
on, hang on, hang on. Ironically, about this whole thing is there is a person who offers the headhunter model who they recently bought a cheaper used car and they're posting about how they did you see this?
No, no. No!
I
Look at
kid
all
you
the
not.
money I saved on my car.
It's this analogy. This is a pinpoint analogy right now. It's like,
I didn't know this. I didn't.
yes,
I
yes.
promise I had no idea when I brought that
I
up.
wasn't sure. I
It was
wasn't
just out
sure
of
if
a
you.
hat.
As you're saying this, I'm like, man, I wonder if he knows that this is that we're that on the head with this analogy right now. I
Wow.
mean, yeah,
So we've all had junker cars at some point in our
absolutely,
lives, right? When we're
absolutely.
younger, everything like that. If your headhunter company is driving a junker car, they're hurting. They're struggling. Um, just a heads up. Anyway, what we all know this, right? As adults, if you're over 30, right?
Yes, yes.
What happens when you buy a junker car, when you try to save money on your car? What happens? It breaks down. You have car problems. It costs you so much more money than you're saving from it breaking down. You need to get it towed. You need to get the jumped. You need to get it, and it's in the shop. You're trying to find ways to get around. We've all had situations like that in our life. And we all come to the conclusion eventually where it's like, I should just make sure that I'm spending, quality money to make sure I have a quality vehicle that's reliable, right? Like we ask in our interviews. We just did an interview. I just did an
Yeah,
interview. I sat in an interview yesterday in the office for a position in the office. One question we ask in every interview: do you have reliable transportation? This
absolutely,
headhunter would not get hired at our company. Does not have
absolutely,
reliable transportation.
absolutely.
Um, but so like that's an analogy. It's kind of similar to that. You buy a junker,
Yeah.
it's going to cost you in the long haul, right? You're trying to be cheap. Um, what's another one, right? Food.
I'll give you another example on the car. So I just had a car issue a couple weeks ago. Um, but here's the thing: the car is newer. It's under warranty. It got into the shop. I paid $0. They got the part. They got it fixed. Didn't pay a penny, and I was right back out on the road. You know,
Yes.
most of the time you're buying an older car, no such thing. You're having to pay for everything along the way, the time, the labor, the parts, etc. So that's the type of guarantee you want. When you're looking at virtual assistants, like you want someone that's going to guarantee the work, guarantee the person.
Can you give me
So
a
you don't
hint
have
of
to
who
look.
has the junker? I want to. I want to look. Who's the? Give me a hint without giving it away. There's got to be some way.
It's a well-known individual. I can't say anything else.
I gotta
I'm
know.
so worried a name's gonna slip out as it
I
is.
gotta know. I gotta know. I don't know how to know.
I'm sure. Well, I'll tell you off air. Okay, I'll tell you off air who it is.
Okay. I have
Um,
to know, but okay. Let's talk about food, right?
yeah,
You eat shitty food, you get fat, you have chronic health problems,
true.
and your life quality suffers over time, right? You end up in the hospital, you end up having health issues that
Yes,
just affect your quality of life. If you went to Whole Foods and got some quality produce or some quality food,
it costs a little more
yeah, you
in the
get what you
short
pay
term,
for, right?
right? It costs a little more in the short term, for sure, right? You know, you're getting better ingredients you're cooking with, organic food. Obviously, all of that type of stuff costs more, but long term, the ROI you're getting on making that investment up front and paying a little bit more yields a lot of benefits. I do think there's kind of a maturity level to this because again, I'm thinking back to myself as like a 20-year-old. A lot of times I was always looking for the cheapest option,
Me too.
whatever that was, right? Thinking I'm smart, I'm gonna save money. I'm looking for the cheapest. But now I've really 180'd in all things. I'm looking at what can I spend money on to save time. I want to save my time, and I also do want that positive ROI later, right? I don't want to have to worry about my car. I don't want to have to worry about the quality of food and how it might affect me late. Like I want to have my time protected, especially later, as well as my money later, right? So I
Let's
think it's a mindset.
let's say your roof is leaking and there's a trusted quality repair service that can come out and fix your roof, right? They've been around a long time, they have great reviews, but they cost a little bit. There's another service with a guy who just started, has no reviews, he works out of his basement, and he's like a third of the cost of the reliable proven service, right? Now, he could be good. He could be good. He could just be getting started, but he lives with his mom. He's never had any training. He's one of those guys, with the beer, drinking the beer. I can fix anything. You know, um, you're like not so sure about this guy, but he's less, but he's cheap. He comes out, climbs on your roof, falls through it, hurts himself. He sues you.
Oh my gosh. We all know this guy. We've
Yeah.
all seen this guy.
I can fix anything. Should have called the service.
That's
Should have
right.
called the service. Uh, we could go on and on and on with these examples.
Lots of analogies. I think we've hopefully really painted a picture for you guys of what it looks like when you try to do all this on your own versus working with someone who can be held responsible, who guarantees the service that you're getting, right? I mean, there's so many more examples. I'm sure we could continue to go down this road, but we are getting towards the top of the hour here, Mr.
Mhm.
Brindle. Final thoughts on episode 132. We did another full week of the Seven Figures or Bust podcast. 4 episodes. I want to mention this too before you share your final thoughts. Freebie Friday is tomorrow. It's back, baby. And we're giving away virtual assistant hours, admin hours. Get your time back. Utilize one of our vetted virtual assistants. All you have to do to enter Freebie Friday is comment on one of the live streams from this week. We've done 4. If you comment on at least one time on each live stream here in the I was going to say Seven Figures or Bust Facebook group, the 7-figure Medicare agent Facebook group, that means you can enter up to 4 times. So sometime around Friday afternoon, we will do a random raffle. We actually post the video of the random wheel, so you know it's real. We're not just picking our favorites. That's not how this works. It's random. And we will have several winners of free virtual assistant hours tomorrow. So don't wait. Comment on our videos. Give us a shout out. Drop a question. Say anything. And get entered into the giveaway, which will happen tomorrow. Mr. Brindle, final thoughts on today's episode.
You guys, you get what you pay for in everything in life. I hope that's what you came to the conclusion of if you made it this far into the episode. And your virtual assistant services are no different. You know, another one I think of is like you can go to a hospital, like a legitimate hospital, if you need to get an operation done, or you can cross the border and have it with some guy in where you're sitting in a trunk.
Go to a vet clinic.
Yeah. You're like, and like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You're sitting in an open trunk in a parking lot. They're like, okay, you hold still now. Have like a scat. He's like, all we have is ibuprofen. We cannot put you under. Be like, what? I'm gonna be awake for this whole thing. Yeah, but the ibuprofen is real strong. It's extra strength. You know, like there's you get what you pay for. And so, you know, if you want a quality virtual assistant to help you with your business, one that won't be a huge detriment to you in your business, your time, everything like that, go with quality service, right? Go with one that has infrastructure. Go with one that puts you with vetted, trusted, highly well experienced individuals, not just random people off of Craigslist, things like that. So that's my final thoughts on today's episode. We're almost done, halfway done. It's okay.
My final thoughts on today's episode, you guys. I mean, honestly, the takeaway that Christian shared there of like, you know, you get what you pay for. I think that really is a big thing with working with anybody, anywhere, you know, any product or service that you can buy. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. If you are looking for a virtual assistant, you know, consider the cost of your time. Consider the cost of if something goes wrong or if this person doesn't work out. And what someone who could guarantee the work, guarantee the time, think about what the benefit of that looks like. If you are curious what a virtual assistant could do to help you, we have a 100 task list you can download at hireheroes.com. Again, free of charge. You just enter your email. It'll send you the task list. Gives you a great idea of stuff that a virtual assistant could do today to help take off some of these low revenue, no revenue generating tasks. So the webinar right now is 100% free to join. So live webinar next Wednesday. Another great way to learn more about virtual assistants if you're new to this. Not sure if we'll have that replay posted yet or not, and limited spots. So don't wait. Jump on that webinar. The link is at hireheroes.com. It's also below the stream of this video in the Seven Figures Facebook group. So those are my final thoughts on today's episode. Don't wait. Check out Hire Heroes.
Appreciate you guys watching all the way to the end. I hope you got some value out of today's episode. And no matter what platform you're watching on, regardless if you watch live or whether you watched a replay on whatever platform of your choice may be, make sure to support us in whatever way that platform will allow you to do so. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, leave a 5-star review. We appreciate all the support. And until next time, we'll be back with another episode of the 7 Figures or Bust podcast next Monday is the plan. Same time as always. And here's to your guys' massive success. Thanks, everybody.